Hey guys, so this is me giving my thoughts on Genesis chapter 3. Um I think this is gonna be a 3-part series because I wanna make these videos shorter. So this is part 1. In Genesis chapter 3 verse 1 it says, "Now the serpent was more subtle in more modern words than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made." The serpent was more subtle or clever, sly, and cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat. I think some of the verses in Genesis chapter 3 are dual or simultaneously talking about Satan and the animal serpent. In verse 1, it's describing why, for the animal, it's describing why this animal, the serpent, was chosen to be entered into by Satan. It was made more subtle, that's sly and cunning, than any beast of the field that the Lord God had made. And sly and cunning means clever and at attaining one's ends by indirect and often deceptive means. And any beast of the field means any animal living on land, not sea or air animals, just land animals. For Satan, Moses wrote Genesis and talked about Satan. Also, Moses describes him as a serpent because the animal is more subtle, sly, cunning than any beast of the field that the Lord God had made. That's why Satan is described as the serpent. And verse 1 had 2 meanings. It was telling you why Satan entered into this serpent and why Satan is called a serpent. For verses 2 through 5, Satan, described as a serpent, was in the garden being a serpent, being in the serpent, and was being sly and cunning like a serpent. He was sly and cunning, clever at attaining one's ends by indirect and often deceptive means, and his deceptive means was to get Eve and Adam to disobey God and from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And I think he was planning bigger than just get her to disobey God, and his bigger plan was to get her to to affect all humans to come after them with a sinful nature, and to be separated from God. That was his big plan. In verses 6, this is my thoughts. Eve disobeyed God and ate from the tree of knowledge and good and evil, because she was deceived by the serpent, Satan, and because she developed a desire to want to be wise like God, knowing good and evil. Adam just deliberately disobeyed God's command, not wanting anything, and didn't tell Eve, no, I don't want the fruit. It's from the tree of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And he didn't ask Eve why she's doing this. He knew it was from the tree of good and knowledge of good and evil. Eve was misled and deceived, tricked by Satan, while Adam still believed that he would die if he ate from that tree, but he still ate it. He wasn't tricked or anything, deceived or anything. And also, Eve and Adam's disobedience and eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil are why we are all born with a sinful nature and separated from God. That's all for part 1.